mowers, trimmers, and other lawn.
Peace, y'all. We're doing it old school today. We got the old big fat GoPro Hero. It actually has a battery. I mean, you plug it in. I have the original, and you put your own batteries in it. But this is the next step up. This is the one I nicked the lens and I buffed it out. This is good. This is my foot action camera from the laydown. This is the one I put between my feet. Really don't use it for much else because it's kind of analog. It's not high def. It might be HD, but it isn't. You know, it isn't high def like the new stuff. April 13th, Saturday. Rich was already here and gone. I'm gonna start running some wire, pulling wire, get all that going. Have decided I think I'm gonna skip the painting in the back room here until it's time to do all of it. It's no big deal having to paint over top of wires. There's the PVC that's back there for the plumbing for the water tanks. I get me a Wagner power painter and just make it a lot easier just to blow it on with that thing instead of trying to roll it. It's tight over there and it's gonna take a lot longer than it should. So we want to get our wiring going. We'll worry about the color and fixing up the back when we're done with the front, right? So on to the update for the Blue Demon project, right? The CRG project. Here we are. Got our RVS engine down, right? We showed you yesterday that the motor mount didn't really fit the chassis, right? The span on the tubes isn't exactly right. The tubing size is surely okay, but the span between the frame rails for the mount for some reason don't do it. Now this is for the RV Double X. Actually, I got this from Kyle Kraus at Grattan on the track day. Paid $50 for this thing. I was supposed to get the at least in the transaction we talked about online on the Facebook messaging. He said that I asked if does it come with the butterflies, and he said yes. And then when he took my money and handed me this thing, I said, "Hey, there's no butterflies," and he said no. So that engine is a much newer homologation, obviously, than an RVS. The RVS is the second homologation from nothing. The first attempt at an ICC was the VL, just like the VL100. It's a VL125. A lot of people call it a different, but that's from my digging. That's what the designation of the motor was. The first one was a VL125. It had a little 100cc reed cage in it. This engine is almost identical. The castings are the same, but it's got a much bigger reed cage in it. This engine has the O-ring gaskets instead of paper gaskets. That's another way you can tell the difference between the original VL and the RVS. And the cylinder height is different to the newer model. Other than that, it took a different piston because the cylinder height was different, and it took a different reed cage. Other than that, everything else is identical. Problem we've got here is you see how long this old engine is. The bolt holes line up here, but we come up short. Right now, to be honest, I don't think it's really going to be much of a problem. Why do you got the DevCon on the bottom of the engine, Robert? Well, this engine, like my other one, froze. The water in it froze, and it blew the bottom of the engine out. As you can see, there's some welding that went on there to weld up the cracks. I just put the DevCon on because we had to kind of surface the case half with a file. We didn't have a fly cutter, a Bridgeport, whatever. And I wasn't dead sure about the accuracy. We put some Dykem on it and rubbed them together, and you could see spots where they weren't exactly touching. We used the Yama Bond on this thing, which is pretty goopy. But I put the DevCon on just so I don't have any problem with any leaking. So no water, no oil leaking. It's just an extra, just an extra Band-Aid just to make sure we don't have any problems. So, is this a problem? Not really. I mean, if I think we could get away with just bolting the 6 bolts on this thing and not having anything on the front. we could also space it, get a piece of 1/4-inch aluminum plate, transfer all the holes, right? Use the 6 bolts, and it would still connect out there. You know, if you feel like, gee, all of it needs to be attached. But that's not the major problem we have here. That's, you can see where I put the Dykem on here. Folks, this is the motor mount that I made for the front of this for the Enduro. It bolts to the front set of holes. You see what I got going on? Right. The clutch cable hold down broke off the casing of this engine. So to use this mount, I think, see, everything happens for a reason. That thing broke off of there probably 5 years ago. And I just went ahead and did what I had to do with making a perch for the clutch right on the motor mount. Once it's bolted on, it moves with the motor, doesn't matter. Because it actually slides on the chassis on a bolt here, right? The bolt goes through and slides. So everything would move together, right? No big deal. So now I think this is a good thing that it comes up short, because now we can make a bracket off of here and weld a perch on and put our clutch cable hold down here. So as things become a problem, we find answers to them, right? So another thing is, hey, I spent $50 on this mount. What's this, Robert? Guess what? I still had the RVXX mount and the butterflies, so I didn't need to spend the $50 on this. So live and learn, I guess. It is what it is. So at least now we know we have one for that engine that we know will fit, and we have something we can alter to fit this one, and our rear end is covered for $50. I know $50 is $50, but what's done is done. I'd feel better about it if I got the butterflies with this motor mount, but you know, it is what it is, right? So we're working this out, knowing we have to get the motor mount machined a little bit. We'll go ahead and probably, I'm hemming and hawing whether we'll have all of this stuff machined to fit the chassis once we get a good dimension of the rail span on that cart, the rail width, or if we should have this one cut and have Don make us little butterflies. When I used to run a butterfly motor mount on the Enduro with the RS Honda, you know, it had this sitting down. It was just 2 pieces, right? With upright pieces of metal welded to it. It would go through the back where the swing arm on the bike would go through, right, or mount, and then a mount on the front. Standard dirt bike stuff. And we would make our butterflies actually only from the center of tube to center of tube, and very low profile, so they didn't end up contacting the track like this. Because sometimes if these things hit hard enough, I've seen on Hondas, the guys that with Hondas, these bolts will bend and break. They'll break off inside the mount, and then you got a problem. If you're at the track, you're at home, you can fix it. It can take a little while at the track, unless you know somebody who's got some machines in their trailer, like Johnny or somebody. It'd be tough. So that's where we're at. We're just thinking about things while we got time, knowing we have to make some alterations. Just checking it out. Rich helped me get the box down. It was real heavy. So that's it. I'm going to start clipping some wire and pulling some wire through to these boxes and stuff and get all the wire in place. Then we'll hook up all the outlets and switches, and then we'll run it to the back, you know, from our last junction to the back, and you know, then we'll get it hooked up and all that kind of stuff. But just messing around out here, checking on some things, getting some things put away, cleaned up a little bit, looking at the engine package we want to use on this first shifter cart we're going to get put together. So that's it for the 13th with the old cam. Sherry took the new ones and dropped them off at the UPS. They're headed out. The new one will be here tomorrow. Next video should be on the new fancy camera. Godspeed, Douglas. Hang in there, y'all. We're praying for you. The old RVS. When I say I'm going to lean it on its ear, I mean it.